All right, so this is Todd Atkins, and we're back for another Japan MMA Beat episode. And I got Andrew Benjamin from the We Are Rising podcast. I got Jay Ulf, and then I got Christian Gary from Focus Fights. And I'm gonna let you guys introduce yourselves because it's been a while since we did one. Maybe let's start with Christian.
Well, you are right, Todd. It has been a while since you've done one of these. I think it's been, over a year in your case since we've done one of these JMMA beat episodes. I know that there was a larger amount of people on here, but still, though, what's good, y'all? It's the Chill Meister J. Christian Gary of Focus Fights Audio. And of course, I managed to speak with Rizin second in command, Shingo Charlie Kashiwagi, and lo and behold, a lot of the things that we talked about pretty much came to fruition off the back of this BKFC news with Rizin and the upcoming Rizin 47 card taking place as we're sitting here a little over 24 hours from now. Can't you believe it? Oh, and by the way, Jay Wolf, my compatriot from Southern California, can you please introduce yourself and talk about how this news really transpired on our watch?
Yes, hi. This is Jay Wolf, not Jay Wolf. I know it's misspelled. I misspelled on purpose because that's what it was way back in like '06 when I first started commenting on the Yahoo message boards. There was like a million other Jay Wolf, so I just put two Y's, and then it just stuck from there. So, but it's Jay Wolf, and then it's easier to search if you want to follow me on Twitter, and I'll follow you right back as long as you're a real person and not some bot account. So, but yeah. We just did some fantastic Focus Fights podcast with Jay Krish, and we're talking about his, he's talking about that fantastic interview he had with Shingo Kashiwagi, the second in command of the Epic Rising Fighting Federation, and Andrew Benjamin also is from the We Are Rising podcast. Is also here as the third one here, and he can introduce himself too. And yes, I'm from Southern, like Jay Krish saying, I'm from Southern California. And I love doing podcasts with all y'all. This is great to be back here on the Japanese MMA beat.
Yeah, and of course, Andrew Benjamin, who I haven't spoken to in a while on the We Are Rising podcast, who now lives in tranquility in the Great Plains. How are you, sir? And of course, can you please tell us your opinions about the recent news that have been transpiring with Rizin and now with Rizin and BKFC?
Host of We Are Rising podcast, in case if nobody figured it out by now. It's interesting. I think there's many reasons why, on both sides, why they're happening. BKFC and Rizin truly working together in a collaborative effort. In my opinion. And it's definitely, gotta give credit to BKFC. In the world of combat sports, the only things that people really talk about are things that are different, whether that's Blob Tang in Full Metal Dojo or a huge bodybuilder beating up two influencers or midget MMA. So, but I gotta give credit to BKFC is that BKFC is always aiming high. I don't think they always hit it, but I admire the fact that they are not resting on their laurels and they're trying and they're thinking of ways how to expand and get their name out there.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Let's go to Christian. I want to kind of hear your thoughts as well on this. All you guys, I'm really interested to see kind of because this is a little bit different than what we would normally talk about on here. It mostly would just be Japanese MMA, but we got BKFC, Dave Feldman, American promotion. So, Christian, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, when I first heard the news, and again, this news has only just transpired, about 24 hours ago. This news has just transpired, but when it came out, I was shocked in awe, but also very excited because of the fact that considering the excitement that people got to witness when Tatsuki Shinosuke knocked out Justin Martinez in the first Rizin bare knuckle fight. I mean, really the first bare knuckle fight in Japan ever. I mean, I knew that was going to bring some type of noise on this side of the Pacific, and I also knew it was going to bring some type of excitement for future collaborations between the two. I mean, yeah, like I said, I did talk with Shingo Charlie Kashiwagi a few weeks ago. The interview was available both in audio and video form. And one of the ideas was to bring in more interest into bare knuckle boxing matches in Rizin.
Mm.
And now, when it comes down to it, I guess they were not lying about this particular thing happen. And now it's really showing that, you know, Rizin has some type of interest in putting this over on their side of the Pacific. And I can only hope that with the two bouts they announced, even though, yeah, you got a women's bout between a woman who flashed her goods to the crowd in Thai this Charissa Sagala, the BKFC sweetheart. And obviously you got Rizin and BKFC veteran, the BKFC flyweight champion John Dodson versus Takaki Soya in a bout that would easily be a damn good MMA fight between the two. I just think those two fights are definitely going to be key to future success for Rizin with this whole BKFC partnership they just announced. I mean, at least I can only hope this will mean something worthy of a success. Now, Jay Wolf or Andrew, do y'all want to talk about this?
Yeah, Jay,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
want to get your opinion, but also after you give it, I'm going to ask you guys all this. So I want the two of you to think about this while Jay's kind of giving his. So kind of give your opinion on, you know, what you think about the collaboration and also how you think the Japanese fans might react to the bare knuckle format if it was to be in Rizin.
Well, Todd, it's already been in Rizin. Remember, they just had a collaboration about on Rizin 46, the first bare knuckle one. They even sent over a bare knuckle official to ref it and everything. And they showed a video on the behind the scenes video type of thing where the bare knuckle official was explaining the rules to the fighters in the backstage. And you know, this is absolutely huge. This collaboration with bare knuckle fighting championships is absolutely huge. It's a co-promotion one and a talent sharing collaboration. So they're going to be sharing talent. You know, there's some big names in bare knuckle fighting championships right now that I would love to see over in the Epic Rizin Fighting Federation in Japan. You know, like Eddie Alvarez, I'd love to see him back in Japan, you know, for the lightweight divisions. And they have some bigger guys too, like Luke Rockhold and all them. I mean, there's a bunch of awesome potential collaboration super fights that could be made from this. And the fans are absolutely loving it. I mean, you know, I was just on a podcast with the City Life Project podcast with Aisha the other day, and he can't get enough of it. He loves the BKFC. And then in the Rizin Discord, where we're all at, the Rizin Discord, there's some fans in there that absolutely adore BKFC. They watch every single show from even the weigh-ins and all that. I mean, it's making inroads in the combat sports world. And to answer your questions about how do you think the Japanese respond to it, well, it got one of the loudest pops of the night on 46. So they're obviously, I think they're loving it. And I'm sure they'll love it even further as soon as the talent sharing is happening. And you know what I like about it with the Japanese audience is that there's a lot of blood that happens in bare knuckle, right? There's cuts and stuff, and fighters bleed, and that will get the Japanese audience and the Japanese to be like you know, more manned up about blood and not stop, because a lot of times we've had problems before in the past where fights they just had like a small little tiny cut, just a little bit of blood, and it stops a fight and ruins a fight. So it's this bare knuckle is gonna like toughen them up to the blood. I mean, they've been getting better at it. Don't get me wrong. And the Epic Rizin, they've let some fights go, including with some women's fights where there's been a bad cut with some blood, and they just, you know, just patch it up and let the fight continue. So we're seeing less and less of fights stopped by cuts, and this bare knuckle collaboration, that's definitely gonna, you know, get them acclimated to the blood flow, and so I'm hoping that it'll transition to also the mixed martial arts bouts and prevent, you know, from going forward any more cut stoppages unless it's like a Grand Canyon style cut. So, but it's a huge. This is a huge deal. I mean, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see it on BKFC events where they talk about, and Feldman, the CEO of BKFC, he says Rizin correctly. Him and Sakaki Barasan, the CEO of Epic Rizin, they were on the MMA Hour, and they were both there talking about hyping it up. And like Jake Chris was saying, two huge fights are added to Super Rizin 3. That's the Epic Rizin Summer Blockbuster event. And arguably, possibly Manny Pacquiao is going to be added to that. We're going to find out in 47's intermission here coming. But, I mean, it's a huge deal. It's a big huge collaboration, and I can't wait to see it. They actually got the Rizin is sending over the fighter that did their initial BKFC fight, Shinotsuku Rude Boy, or Black Rose. I forget which one his nickname is now. He's coming over. What is it, Jake Rich?
His nickname is Problem Boy or Rude Boy, as in BWOI.
Okay. Then what was the Black Rose? Is that rap group that he came out with or something?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, but they're sending over Rude Boy over to America to fight July 12th. So that's going to be at BKFC Pachanga right here in Southern California. I might even go to that. So we'll have to see how the ticket prices are. But, I mean, it's an exciting collaboration. I mean, I just can't wait. I can't wait to see it unfold. I can't wait to see the talent sharing. I can't see how much they help each other. It's awesome. All around awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, one of the things I think that made Pride special is there wasn't a lot of Japanese versus Japanese. It was a lot of foreigner versus Japanese. And, and I think that's, anything that can inject more of that into Rizin, I think is good. What do you think, Andrew?
Well, it's funny, Jay, with that, one of the things that we always used to complain about.
Even though it's kind of my thing, but when it came down to the whole Japanese versus Japanese aspect in Pride, really the only time you got the Japanese versus Japanese aspect in Pride FC was probably at the Bushido shows, but I digress.
Yeah.
Now you can continue with your thought, Andrew.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I want to go back to what J-Will said about, remember, I think probably one of the most egregious stoppages ever in Rizin was the Crow Cop Rocky Martinez fight. But you see what's interesting is that now this BKFC thing probably is better. It's happening now that they don't have terrestrial television. Imagine if they had BKFC having BKFC fight while still on Fuji TV. Listen, you wouldn't have to wait until the blood. You wouldn't have to wait until like the first minute of the first round. Fights would be stopped in like in 30 seconds probably. So probably good. No, if you want to say there's one positive about losing Fuji TV, it might be this. It could honestly this. As for the audience, getting used to it, I definitely, it'll definitely be something interesting that I think that they can easily adapt to. I think it'll be cool for them to see the interesting is having that Ty Emery fight anyway, because that fight sticks out like a sore thumb. But having the Dodson Soya fight, having like a Rizin regular like Soya and Dodson, I think will definitely pique more interest than the Emery fight. I definitely think they'll have to eventually start putting some of the more well-known names like a Hagiwara. I don't know if Gomi is still interested in bare knuckle, whatever. I think instead of just being a prelim thing like this Shinotsuka fight was, unfortunately, it was at the beginning. I would definitely see that they'll have to eventually start putting in the bigger names just to as the interest grows more. That's how I see it going. Just one other quick point I'll make. I think it's interesting that I feel like this is much more of a collaboration than whatever Bellator PFL's thing with Rizin at this point, because we're actually legitimately seeing we're gonna have actual two BKFC fighters fight on a Rizin show. We're having one fighter go to BKFC Shinotsuka. This doesn't seem to be like, oh, listen, we need a fighter. Do you guys have anybody? This actually feels like they're gonna be running some types of shows together, and then they'll probably help. Rizin will probably help BKFC with probably booking shows as well. Because listen, trying to be a foreign company and doing business in Japan is incredibly difficult. And Todd, you might be able to speak more on that since you live in Japan. But I can been told it's very difficult.
Yeah, but Andrew, here's the thing: what you're saying about BKFC, and if Rizin was still working with Fuji TV, that those fights wouldn't happen. Let's just say this: if Rizin was working with BKFC, but the Fuji TV deal would still happen, all they would need is to take one look. I mean, all the programming directors and members of the brass at Fuji TV would need to do is take one look at that Ty Emery image of her flashing her boobs to the crowd in Thailand, and they would be like, nah, we're not going to do this. We're going to cancel it all out and just basically, let Rizin handle their own. Oh, and we're going to center your fights the second you show blood. But still don't. Point of the matter is, I kind of agree with you. If Rizin can make these two BKFC fights work on the Super Rizin card, by the way, which is July 28th, about 6 weeks from now, maybe we'll start seeing more big names from BKFC come into Rizin, and maybe in the case of some of them, rethink that, oh, I'm retired from MMA bullshit.
Yeah, and also, Drew, you're off on this. Is the Bellator PF Bellator collaboration it's the same type of thing. Sergio Pettis on 47. That's a former Bellator champion being sent over with current Bellator fights still under his contract. So, but this was BKFC is more of a co-promotion, is what I'd say. It's a collaboration with both. But with the PFL
I will agree with you
is
on
a
that.
collaboration.
I'll definitely, because I know we've been butting heads on the exact definition between two. I'm willing to at least concede that. But don't forget that actually Kyoji is also, he had to be borrowed from Bellator as well. They
Supposedly, I don't know. That might be a mistranslation. I don't know
that's
what's
what
up with
Barra
that.
said. That's what Barra said. That's what Barra said.
Well, I mean, they don't. PFL doesn't have 125-pound division. He's been fighting in the Epic Rizin for this past multiple fights. So, I mean, we don't know what's going on with that completely, I guess, but we'll find out afterwards. I mean, I was seeing stuff last night, but the translation was probably off, but it was saying that was possibly his last fight. And this fight against Sergio is Kyoji's last fight on his contract with Rizin. I mean, how is that going to work? I don't know if you saw that, but they did
Rizin or with Bellator?
With Rizin, dude. It's like, wait, what? It had to be some kind of mistranslation. So I'm wondering if there's some mistranslation,
Never trust
as well.
Twitter Translate, J Wolf. Never trust Twitter Translate. It's really bad. It's really, really bad.
Well, that's why it's like, look, I consider Kyoji a Rizin fighter, but Sergio Pettis is definitely a former Bellator champion.
Actually,
and
you reminded me, Joe. One quick point before. Sorry, this will be the last point, Bkfc. I think the other reason why why Rizin is getting into this, we don't know how if Bellator is going to last. It's going to be around till next year, past next year, and we don't know if they're going to still want to, I guess, collaborate or share talent with Rizin. We don't. There's that's going to be. We'll see that as the months go on, if that's going to happen. But I think Rizin at least also realizes that they can have a solid relationship with a promotion like Bkfc. They're not going anywhere for the time being for now. So I think that's going to replace their Bellator PFL relationship, providing that that if Bellator goes away, PFL uses shares less and less of Rizin. That's at least another theory I have as well.
Well, look, Mike Kogan, the guy that's running Bellator right now for PFL, he was on a Japanese show saying, and they put some tweets out. He was saying he wants to continue the collaboration and take it to the next level and go even further. So it's going to be happening all throughout the year.
Do you know that Dana White said that he said he would never close down WEC and that he would never close down Strikeforce? You do know that, right?
This is different though. This is different. This is Mike Kogan is said this on a Japanese show. Then we had Yachi come over here to Bellator show. We're having Shinobu Ota come over here to the next Bellator show, Bellator Dublin. That is Opta is a really another high-profile Rizin fighter. And now we're having Pettis, former Bellator champion, come over to Rizin 47. Who knows what else is going to happen? Also, remember, when they were releasing the schedule for Bellator events, December 31st, they initially released a graphic that showed they were going to do a December 31st show in the Saitama Super Arena in Japan. That's obviously a co-promotion with Rizin, right? Or collaboration with Rizin event. Then they took it away and put a question mark under it, saying it was like, putting some mystery on it if it was going to happen or not. So I bet you that's going to happen. They're probably going to announce it later. But for sure, but for the rest of the year, I believe Mike Kogan, because it's already happening right now. The collaboration with Bellator is happening, and it's going to happen at least at the end of the year. We don't, like Drew was saying, we don't know if Bellator's going to be around next year. But I don't know. Look, Don Davis, he could have said no to all this, right? He could have been like Dingleberry Dana White and could have been scared to co-promote because, Don Davis doesn't have the same nightmares that Dingleberry Dana has with Almighty Pride FC whooping UFC's ass back in the day. And, so that's – but Don Davis, look, his brand, he could have been like, oh, no, I got to protect the brand. We're trying to be the co-leader in this sport. We can't risk our fighters going over there and losing. We can't have your guys come over here into the PFL brand or Bellator brand and beat our Bellator fighters. So it could have gone totally different, but it's not. And that means, to me, that shows that Mike Kogan, that his statement was totally correct. They want to continue the collaboration and take it at least through the end of the year, take it to the next level. And you know what I'm hoping that comes to fruition with that.
Go ahead and take a wild guess, Jay. You want to see some Grand Prix. I already spoken.
Yes, absolutely. Some joint collaboration Grand Prix. And also the Chihiro Pitbull super fight rematch. The stars have aligned for that now. And I would love to see that as well. But hey, with the BKFC though, BKFC, like Drew was saying, is it's an actual co-promotion. It's going to be taken to the next level. And I love how Drew was saying that it can go, because we don't know if Bellator's going to be around next year, and BKFC could be, it will probably definitely be around, right? So that collaboration or co-promotion is going to continue in the next year.
Hopefully.
Yeah, well, and there's a bunch of big time fights that we can speculate about.
But hopefully.
Jay, please listen for a little bit. The point I'm trying to say is, yeah, Mike Kogan went onto the Rizin live stream on YouTube about a night or two ago and basically said that he wants to see the Rizin Bellator PFL partnership continue. The point of the matter is, they were quick to basically, refresh and delete that graphic of them saying that they were going to be doing the event on New Year's. If not New Year's Eve, then definitely December 30th in Tokyo. Well, damn it, not Tokyo. Saitama proper, not Tokyo. But still, though, the point of the matter is that when it comes down to some of that shit, I understand Mike Kogan's been in Japanese MMA before. He worked with FBG USA with the old K1 and Dream shows, so he knows what he's talking about. The thing is, you're pretty much on a damn thread. I don't know if I could take that even at face value, that the Bellator Rizin PFL partnership will continue. Of course, unless I see some good results on the Rizin side of things, and them bringing over Rizin bringing over fighters to Bellator events, which unfortunately so far has only landed them at a loss this season because of Yusuke Yachi getting stretched out by Mansar Banawi, and now Shinobu Ota going to Dublin to face Brian Moore.
Well, Mike Kogan, when I broke the PFL Bellator news, he put on his story, this guy is fake news.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Well, only one reason why I don't believe Mike Kogan, Jay, because listen, Todd broke that, and you remember how many people came after him, and then you remember when it became official, nobody gave Todd credits. Mike Kogan was one of them. I remember it now. Thank you for bringing up Todd. Mike Kogan did that. That was very shitty of him. If he should have just said nothing.
Yeah.
Well, they were just trying to keep the news under wraps until it became official. That's the same thing of why they're taking off the graphic.
By saying he called Todd a liar. He could have
Yeah.
just said, I don't know what's going on, or no comments, you know. That's the difference in just saying outright lying. And I have no doubt that Mike Hogan was, if it was a fighter, that, you know, fighters don't know anything, you know. That's why all of them were like, I don't know what's going on. But Mike Hogan was up there, second to Scott Coker, he fucking knew. So I don't exactly buy what Kogan is selling. You know,
That's right.
He's just saying what needs to be said now, and that can change in a few months. I would take his word with a grain of salt.
Yes, for sure.
Well, let's see if the December 31st event happens and it's a collaboration event. Then I mean, come on. And
also, you bring up that it might be contractually obligated from the previous. From Bellator's previous dealings with Barra, because they seem to be, well, some of the contracts they're sticking to, and other ones are not. I mean, so they might be just sticking to that. And then December 31st, you know, get rid of Bellator, no more Rizin, you know, quote promote or whatever. So yeah,
we know, but still though, I think at this point we would much rather take Mike Hogan's word, or, you know, rather take Todd Atkins' word than the shitty PR team over at the PFL. That's
it's already happening. It's already Yachi's already crossed over. Ota is crossing over. That's June 22nd, and we got Pettis fighting over there this Saturday at Rizin 47. And who knows what's? I mean, they were supposed to get 5 announcements during Rizin 47's intermission. What if it is going to be another collaboration fight with the PFL Tour fighter coming over for Super Rizin 3? Well, I mean, what had that happened?
It's like you said yesterday. Not even yesterday. I think it was last night, yesterday, that we talked about this, Jay, about the fact that there's going to be 5 announcements destined for, if not Super Rizin, and definitely later in the year, coming up this weekend at Rizin 47. Obviously, the 2 BKFC fights. Obviously, Manny Pacquiao coming back, which I know Andrew just loves, quote unquote. But again, you also got the possibility of a Chihiro Suzuki versus Patricio Pitbull rematch, and who knows? Maybe you are right about this, that we could see another special fighter coming in to Rizin from either the BKFC, the PFL / Bellator, or even though I know Rizin doesn't have enough money in the tank to land one of these, a top free agent from the world of mixed martial arts or other combat sports. Wouldn't y'all agree with me on that?
Who are you talking about? Musashi?
I mean, considering people basically moaning and griping about contracts as of late, and because of what the PFL just done, PFL it might be Musashi. Because you did mention, hey, we probably want to see Fat Ninja become the inaugural Rizin middleweight or light heavyweight champion and have him fight a big name. Why not have it be Gegard Mousasi? Or, you know what? Why not have it be Rafael Lovato Jr.?
Yeah, there you go. Or and some BKFC fighters, like Rockhold, Perry. I mean, a bunch of guys.
I don't know if Perry can get into Japan.
Oh, he can't. Oh, that's a bummer.
He can't.
You know, I'm just saying, if he has the criminal record to get into the country.
They can't give him a waiver?
I don't know.
No,
maybe.
They will not give Mike Perry a waiver, Jay. What are you crazy?
They didn't let Tyson into the country.
Paul McCartney's still banned, as far as I know.
Yeah, they tried to bring Tyson over when I lived there, and they didn't let him in. That was a big story.
Well, I mean, maybe that. You know, Tyson. That was probably in what, the late '90s, early 2000s. So
it was around 2003 when they were trying to build the Bob Sapp versus Mike.
That's not that long ago, J. Wolf. That's 20 years ago. And Paul
That's
McCartney.
20 years. That's 20 years. Maybe times have changed. You never know. I mean, they're finally bringing international fighters back.
Japan still uses fax machines as their #1 method of communication.
I will see. I mean, a 47's got the most international fighters that's happened since the pandemic. So
But
they're
they don't have
obviously bringing
criminal
international
records. They
guys
don't have
back.
criminal records, though. That's the difference. They don't have criminal records, J Wolf. Mike Perry does.
Okay. So there's no way to get a waiver then for Perry.
No,
Well, anyway, okay. What
no,
about?
he will not be granted a waiver. They will not grant Mike Perry a waiver to fight bare knuckle in Japan. Or MMA. That's not happening. Sorry. It
Okay.
is
Well,
not
then,
happening.
how about Rockhold then? Rockhold and that Musazi or something like that, right? I mean, there's some.
Yeah, they
Oh,
got some
wait.
guys.
How about? I got it. Anderson Silva said after his boxing match. Remember, he said he wants to have one more fight in Japan a while ago, right? A mixed martial arts fight. What if either Rockhold or Musazi or somebody for Anderson Silva's last fight in Japan? How about that possibility?
Man, that would be a fun possibility, to be
Yeah.
honest with you, especially considering the fact that, Rizin really relied hard into the pageantry of MMA legends of old for the first couple of years of their promotion. The thing is, when it comes down to Silva, I mean, Anderson especially, I don't know if they got the kind of money that they can land to get Anderson to sign on the dotted line. But then again, we'll have to wait and see how that boxing match goes to see if he would want to even entertain, to see if Silva will even want to entertain the offer.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, they're paying Manny Pacquiao. They might bring Floyd Mayweather back. I mean, if they got money for that, they'll have money for Anderson Silva, Rockhold, Musazi, all these people. So we'll see what happens.
And I can see the stone-faced expression in Andrew's eyes. He does not APAC 2 happen in Rizin, right?
That's correct, yes. Actually, Todd, I have a question for you. Do you foresee BKFC, when they start running shows in Japan like they do Thailand, do you think they can be successful? Since you live in Japan, you know how American foreign businesses tend to not do too well when they try to break into Japan.
Well, I mean, if Rizin's willing to work with them, that might grease some of that. You know what I mean? They're not trying to come in on their own. So that might help, grease the skids a little bit. I don't know how it would fare by itself, but in collaboration with Rizin, like you guys are talking about, that's different.
Well, wait, do you guys think, because BKFC is going to have a Japan show, they're going to actually bring the entire brand of BKFC over to Japan. And they're going to have some Rizin fighters in there, some Rizin crossovers for that, right? Yeah. So, I mean, that's supposed to be happening in July as well. It's not only Shinosuke is coming over to America to fight in BKFC in July. They're supposed to be doing a BKFC Japan show in July as well. And I believe that's what's going to be like. It's going to be the lead up to Super Rizin 3. They'll probably be hyping it up the whole time, because like I said, they had two huge fights announced for Super Rizin 3 for BKFC. The big one being John Dodson, who's been moonlighting between both sports. He's been fighting in Epic Rizin, then he's been coming over defending his flyweight title in bare knuckle boxing. So but it's funny because it wasn't a flyweight title match for Dodson, because in his most recent bare knuckle fighting championship title fight, it went to a draw. So they're probably saving his title defense to rematch the guy that he went to a draw with, and then that's why they're having him fight a Japanese fighter, a Rizin crossover fighter on the Super Rizin 3 event, and it's still going to be 5 rounds, but just non-title. So, but it's still a huge fight. I mean, if the Japanese fighter wins, he will have earned himself a rematch down the line, obviously, and we'll see how that plays out. But I mean, it's a huge collaboration, and I just love how it's bigger than a collaboration. It's a co-promotion. Like I'm anticipating hearing Feldman talk about it on the broadcast. And he actually says Rizin correctly, or we might even see stuff on graphics and stuff. It's going to be real interesting to see July 12th when Shinosuke comes over here and fights in Pachanga Casino. The BKFC is happening here in Southern California. It's going to be real interesting to see how they build him. If they have Rizin graphics, how much they talk about it. It's going to be real interesting to see, because that'll be the first time, like besides Rizin 46, That was the first BKFC crossover where they flew the BKFC official out to Japan, had him ref in the fight, gave the seminar on the rules and everything. And the Rizin 46 broadcast was really hyping up bare knuckle, right? I mean, Drew, we were talking, you were breaking balls about how, on the BKFC broadcast they forgot to mention. They didn't mention it, right, on the BKFC broadcast before that, and then
I don't think they forgot.
I don't think
they forgot. I don't think they just didn't care.
From now on, they're going to. From now on, they're going to, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it plays out. And it's already paying off. It's brought huge attention already. I mean, that was like Jay Krish was saying. This news just broke a couple days ago, and there's articles all over the mainstream media about it. Finally, and it's like it's big news. It's big news, and the fans love it. I mean, the Japanese fans for the Rizin 46 bare knuckle bout, like I was saying, it got one of the biggest pops of the entire night, right? So, and we'll see how it plays out with the Shinosuke coming over here to America to fight. But I'm anticipating that bare knuckle Japan show is going to be massive, and it's going to sell out probably. It'll be interesting to see what kind of arena that they pick for that one, and it'll be really interesting to see how the Japanese crowd, responds to it. I think they're going to embrace it. To be honest with you, I think it's going to be embraced.
It's going to probably be Kurikan Hall, I'm guessing. That's the safest arena.
That's all right. They've held events there. Rise has held events there. I mean, so that's fine. So you don't think it's going to be a big arena? You think it's just going to be Kurikan Hall?
Yeah, Kurikan Hall is the safest arena to run almost anything. It's more or less. Yeah, that's. Could they go smaller? I don't know. Maybe they would do Shinjuku Face or Shinkiba. I think Kurikan's kind of just like the de facto arena to just like, it's not too big, it's not too small. It's perfect. I think that's fine for them to run. They're not going to try to run Saitama. They're not going to do that, They shouldn't.
And in the case of Kurikan Hall, which is pretty much hallowed ground for combat sports in Japan, it's pretty much a make or break. If you can't pop an interest from a 2,000 seat crowd at Kurikan Hall, then what the hell are you even doing there?
I think Kurikan Hall might have a difficult time kind of handling, because BKFC likes to, put on a pretty good, elaborate. They try to, presentation, and I don't know if Kurikan Hall would be fitting for that.
Maybe
a lot of the shows at Kurikan Hall are pretty kind of dry. Shuto come in there, run their kind of smaller shows, and then they do the Japan Valley Tudo at an arena. But in Pancrase, it's not really, tons of lights and over the top like BKFC tries to do at their shows. They do put on a good, presentation of their product. And that might be hard to do in Kurikan Hall. I don't know if they have the logistics to do it. They have a lot of arenas in Japan, small ones. They have all kinds. So
yeah, I was just about to say. Yeah. What about Dolphin Arena? They had a landmark event was there. A Rizin Landmark Cage event was in that arena, right? That's kind of like a medium-sized arena. So like Todd's saying, they have arenas.
The only problem with that one, J Wolf, is that it's in Nagoya. I'm pretty sure they're going to do their first show. BKFC will do their first whatever show in Tokyo, probably. Right. I don't think they want to do it in Nagoya just yet.
Okay. Well, whatever arena it's in, I anticipate it's going to be packed.
Actually, I just thought this. What actually would be smart of them? And now I think about it, I don't know, Todd. What do you think about this? In case of you think they should do it near one of the Air Force bases or one of the Army bases or something? Maybe to get the American servicemen to possibly come over and to see the show in case the Japanese audience isn't coming over to see the show.
It's an interesting idea.
I just saw that right now, to do it near Yokota Air Force, or I guess the other big one would be Okinawa. That's the other Army base. That's the big Army base. I don't know. I'm just thinking that because that would either be the best place to do it or just somewhere in Tokyo. I still say Kurikan Hall just because it's a venue easiest to get to, right near the train station, and you can pretty much fill up it's a good size to fill up to see and kind of gauge the interest, in my opinion. Like if they do too big and don't sell enough tickets, then they may be hesitant to run another show, or it might be a while. If you fail at Kirk and Hall, listen, it's not too bad. Because listen, Noah ain't drawing either at Kirk and Hall now. So listen, that's a low bar.
That actually makes sense. So would you think that, well, like what kind of fighters do you think they would be sending over? Well, not sending over, but what kind of fighters do you think Rizin would be, loaning to BKFC to fight in that Kirk and Hall show if it's there?
Oh, I don't know. It would have to be just people that can do BKFC style. Like I don't want to see Juntaro Ushiku. I don't want to see Kleber doing that stuff. It's gotta be like a Hagiwara. I'm trying to think. If we want to do Spike as well, for a foreign fighter as well, if they can somehow get some of those Rise guys, maybe one or two K1 guys potentially as well. Since now that I don't know how happy K1 would be to send people over. They seem to be a little bit hesitant after that last Rise show. Yeah.
How about Bay Noah? How about Bay Noah? Guy like Bay Noah.
I think he'd be good. I think, but he wants to do MMA. He's really adamant about doing MMA. But that you could always change that. I don't think he'd be too bad at it. Yeah, it'll have to be like something like a Hagiwara. It has to be the Hagiwara types that can do that, or Minoru Kimura or Ren Hiramoto's. Those are the people that should do it. You can't be going asking Satoshi to do this stuff. It would be ridiculous. It would be really bad. It would be funny, but it'd be really bad.
Right, and remember Ren Hiramoto was a part of when Sakakibara-san, Shinosuke, and Ren Hiramoto flew to Florida. When this first started getting cooked up, right? When they first went to Florida, a BKFC event in Florida, that's when this whole BKFC collaboration thing started getting going.
I guess also you could also just listen. Those breaking down guys, just ask Jolly, ask whoever, those breaking down guys will probably say yes to anything. So I'm sure if they're really desperate and everybody's saying no, just ask a breaking down guy. I'm sure they'll say yes and not turn down that opportunity.
That's a good idea.
Come to think of it, when it comes down to it, and I'm sorry, but right now I'm a little bit distracted by watching Rick Ross talk Adrian Broner down to the damn ring for his fight with Blair the Flair Cobbs. But let's just face it, when it comes down to the BKFC Japan show, they can't half-ass it. They really can't, because when it comes down to it, they would have to get, I wouldn't say some of the biggest stars in Japan to help out. I mean, they could do like what the BKFC Thailand show with the bare knuckle kickboxing fight was. They could basically have, a couple of spectacle fights, maybe a bare knuckle shoot boxing fight. I don't know. But the point of the matter is they got to go all out, balls to the wall, and not think twice about, what they put on there. Otherwise, if they just throw a bunch of fighters from Rise, a bunch of fighters from Rizin, and, a few fighters that haven't had fights in years onto this card, then it would just feel like a lost cause, wouldn't you think?
Not if they get Hagiwara, like Drew was saying. Hagiwara is a big rising star for them over there. That's one of the names.
Of course, even though he's under 500, but still, though, when it comes down to, getting guys like Hiroya Kondo, like a Kyohei Hagiwara, as you're saying, I would love to see those guys dish out some violence in BKFC type of action. It's just the fact that when it comes down to it, they just can't throw a bunch of random guys from all these promotions out there and say, hey, here's your fight card. They got to get not only creative by having maybe one or two spectacle fights on there, but also, you know, be somewhat, no, make it somewhat feel like a legitimate fight card. Again, don't put random guys in there just saying, hey, here you go, just fight. I mean, make it something that people will actually give a damn about to watch, you know?
Well, as my understanding is correctly, they're going to be bringing over BKFC fighters to do it's not just to be Japanese only in the Japan BKFC show. You know, they'll be bringing over some guys. So I'm anticipating at least a big headliner. We don't know. I mean, obviously not John Dodson because Dodson's going to be on Super Horizon 3, right? So I wonder who, maybe it could be Eddie Alvarez or somebody, right? I mean,
yeah, but here's the thing, Jay Wolf. They do the same. I mean, BKFC does this same type of shit with their shows in Bulgaria. They just bring a bunch of unknown guys that are really unknown to us here in the States, but basically a bunch of local talent out just to fill the seats, so to speak.
Well, look, with all due respect to Bulgaria, that's not the same market as the Japanese market in Japan, a bigger market. So they would go more all out for the Japanese market, especially with this co-promotion news that just happened. So I mean, I definitely anticipate that they're going to go bigger than they would in Bulgaria.
Okay, that's understandable. Or England, for that matter, or even Thailand, for that matter. But I get what you're saying, Jay.
Yeah, I'm anticipating they're going to go big to solidify this collaboration. They're going to bring over some BKFC guys. They're going to have some named Japanese guys like Hagiwara and some guys from Rizin crossover in there and fight BKFC guys. It's going to be a big show. So and if they put it in Korakuen Hall because they want to be safe, that's fine. So, but I think it's going to be a big show. It's going to be a big deal. I just can't wait to see how it plays out, and I can't wait to see how they hype it. And I know they're gonna hype Super Horizon 3 because their flyweight champion John Dodson's on it. Featured heavily. That's like the feature fight for BKFC on Super Horizon 3. So, man, I can't wait to see how it plays out and how they're gonna promote it and hype it, and they're gonna have graphics and it's already in the positive for me because Feldman pronounces Rizin correctly. So and well, to be fair, the PFL to Bellator people do as well. Sean O'Connell, the Bellator announcer, he was, man. That's another thing that goes into favor that what Mike Koga was saying was true is because they were really hyping it up on the PFL to Bellator broadcast. Sean O'Connell, I mean, they even had for Yachi's walkout, they had a graphic where the most prominent stat for him at the very top of it said about how he was a 18 fight Rizin veteran. They were really, Sean O'Connell was really hyping it up and talking. It was great to hear, and he was calling it Rizin correctly, so it was great to hear. So, and I can't wait to see how Bare Knuckle's going to do that as well. So it's just really exciting. You guys have so much collaboration, co-promotion happening. I mean, we can also talk about the KSW collaboration that's happening. I mean, I know we still don't know what's going on with that, but they've been tweeting about it as recently as last night for the Polish fighter that's going to be fighting Ueda on Rizin 47, Kowalczyk. They tweeted last night on one of his photo shoots saying a Rizin, a KSW fighter, so it's like, I mean, is that a collaboration happening, and what's going on with that? I mean, well, maybe that could be part of the 5 announcements we're going to get. So, I mean, we speculated about it big time on the City Life Project podcast with Aisha, but I mean, that's a real possibility as well. I mean, it's so exciting. All this collaboration and co-promotion happening. I mean, really, the Rizin Fighting Federation is living up to the federation part of their name. And they have since the beginning, to be honest with you, but it's great to see they're finally back to that after the pandemic is finally over. So this is just so much fun. I can't wait.
Yeah, of course. I can't wait either. But come to think of it, I doubt that, like I said, it all has to deal with having a good showing. And we all know Przemysław Kowalczyk is going to be fighting Mikio Ueda. He definitely hopes not to have a bad showing because he's 3-0 with 3 knockouts, each in the first round, might I add. But still, though, point of the matter is, in order for this KSW thing to work, or really for Polish MMA to even get back into Rizin's good graces, because we saw what happened 5 years ago with Simone Behor, and that didn't go well. I mean, Kowalczyk. I mean, I obviously realize B names instead of W names over in Europe. Kowalczyk definitely is going to need to win that fight against Ueda in order for any type of interest from KSW to get back into Rizin, especially after they had what pretty much amounted to a Rizin rules fight a few months ago, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, they're Kowalczyk is there, and they're building him as a KSW crossover. So I don't think it necessarily depends on if he wins or not. He's gonna have a good showing, right? And because I mean, the KSW, they need heavyweights for their champion, Phil DeFries. I mean, could we see Ueda crossover there if he wins for like a cross collaboration title fight? I mean, who knows? I mean, I know it's kind of early in Ueda's career, but they need guys over there in KSW. I mean, and we haven't got an inaugural heavyweight title fight yet for the Rizin, so maybe they could bring over another KSW guy to help out with the Rizin inaugural title fight. If Ueda beats Kowalczyk, they could bring over another guy. So I mean, we'll see how that plays out, but it's just exciting to see that. And you were talking about, Jay Krish, that incident happened 5 years ago. That's in the past, and they've obviously moved on from that and smoothed things over. And I mean, like I said, look, Sakaki Barasan, CEO of Rizin, was tweeting about it and talking about it, calling it a KSW collaboration. Just as early as last night for the photo shoots, the official Rizin Twitter was tweeting out, referring to Kowalczyk as a KSW collaboration fighter, basically. So, I mean, there's something happening, and it's awesome. And I just can't wait to see if it's not going to rise to the level of, we don't know. What if it does rise to the level of Bkfc? I mean, but that's to me, like I was telling Drew earlier, the Bkfc is a co-promotion, and what they're doing with Bellator and PFL and KSW, that's a collaboration, more like a fighter exchange type of thing. But I'm anticipating with Bkfc, it's going to be a co-promotion where they actively promote each other's brands on the broadcast. So, and we're probably going to find out on 47, at least for the intermission. I bet you they talk about the BKFC brand the whole time. Well, not the whole time, because we got 5 announcements. But like Jake,
the Rizin Brass will probably talk about it, but I highly doubt that their Australian-based commentary crew of Elliot Compton and Daniel Beatdown Brown will, considering the fact that it'll be yet another event where their commentary crew ain't there at the venue, or where Joe Ferraro is taking the night off because, of course, he got a lot of busy things to do in Canada, soccer, real estate, a bunch of other shit. But
well, let's see. Well, they're going to be commentating during the intermission announcements, right?
I hope so.
So hey, so then if Sakaki Barasan announces the BKFC collaboration bouts for Supervisor 3 during the intermission, then they have to talk about it. So I mean, I think they're going to actually promote it and hype it up. So we'll find out. That's tomorrow night as of this recording. So it's going to be exciting to see.
Christian, what did he say to you as far as what Rizin was looking to do at BKFC, or did he even elaborate on
it? If you're talking about the interview I had with Shingo not too long ago, I mean, basically all that he said, and you can listen back to the interview if you want, but all that he said is they can't really speculate on what they want to do, but they want to hope that they can, get their name out there to the rest of the world. And in particular, on our side of the Pacific, they want to get their name out there to do events in the States, because, of course, they see, Shingo, Sakaki Barasan, they all saying that they want to eventually get to doing events in the States, get to doing international events on U.S. soil. And I suggested that they should do events in either Honolulu, Hawaii, Atlanta, Georgia, or Denver, Colorado, because especially in the latter two states, Georgia and Colorado, they're basically looking at seeing if Rizin rules should be legalized, which they should. Let's be real. But still, though, aside from wanting to go over to the States and potentially do more events, I think that they probably want to see more opportunities for fighters just to get put over, especially in this. I mean, especially getting those international fighters in. That's definitely going to be key.
And Jay Krish, oh, go ahead. You finish up real quick. I want us to talk about that interview. It was a great thing that happened that we're talking about.
Yeah, but still, though, a lot of the plans in play, what Shingo basically said, are definitely going to jot down to what Sakaki Bar wants for the future of Rizin. That's what he basically said to me. That's what Shingo basically said to me. No plans for Rizin's going to get through without Sakaki Bar laying down the groundwork. And I think that's going to be true if Rizin wants to have more success, since, of course, next year will mark 10 fucking years since Rizin has been a brand. And it's going to be really epic to see what they do next. Now, Jay, you go ahead and continue.
Yes, in that interview with Shingo, what you were just talking about, he was saying that there's an active, like you were saying, they're trying to break into international markets in the States, and there's an active effort underway right now to get the superior rule set legalized, at least in those states. And that's a huge point from that interview that we need to say again. I've been saying on every single show we've been doing on 47, Shingo-san asked that, instead of calling them soccer kicks, because, when we talk about superior rule set, we're talking about the Epic Rise upgraded Pride rules.
Called them grounded kicks because
yes,
in the California State Athletic Commission, namely Commissioner Andy Foster, said, I'm not going to allow soccer ball kicks in my state. I mean, and Shingo basically explained it perfectly. When you're taking a soccer kick to the head, it's like taking a full-blown punt in football or taking a full-blown penalty kick, obviously, in soccer. One shot to the skull will rattle your brain. Let's be real.
And that doesn't happen. That does not happen in the action of the superior rule set. They don't. It's like he was saying that it's like a free kick. When you say the word soccer kick, it gives the image into your head of a free kick, like a free kick on goal. And that's not what's happening in the middle of the action of the fights, right? So that's why he was saying, call it grounded kicks. That's what we're going to do. Now on, when we reference the superior rule set, we're going to call them grounded kicks and grounded knees, at least until it gets legalized. Then we can go back to soccer kicks. But that's when we're talking about the superior rule set, that's what we're talking about. It's upgraded Pride rules because they allow all elbows, including 12 to 6s, grounded kicks, grounded knees, grounded up kicks, and of course suplex slams, which is a huge deal as well. We got to make sure we add those in because one championship does not allow suplex slams, right? So that is a part of the superior rule set.
Slams, period.
The grounded up kicks is a huge thing that is missing from the UFC because, the guy on the bottom is such a disadvantage from a leverage point of view, getting hit from the top, and they can't even kick up. It's like the guy on top can hit, he can elbow, he can pretty much do, all leverage. All you can do is try to punch back. You don't have the leverage to hit nearly as hard. To be able to up kick from the ground would totally change. That would help, especially jiu-jitsu guys, especially. It would help a lot.
Absolutely, Todd. And that's how Chihiro Suzuki won the title from Vugar Karimov. He did not have to hesitate when he threw that up kick. Yeah. That initially knocked Vugar down to where he was able to finish, get the TKO finish from his back. That initial up kick, he didn't have to wait. He didn't have to go, oh, is his knee up? Is his arm up or whatever? Is he not grounded or not? He didn't have to wait. It was because there's grounded up kicks are allowed 100%. So that you're absolutely correct, Todd. That already happened. Chihiro Suzuki won the title because he didn't have to hesitate thinking, oh, is this going to be an illegal grounded up kick or not? He just went ahead and threw the grounded up kick, rocked Vugar, and then he finished it off with a TKO and won the title. So ground up kicks are huge. You're
Yeah,
absolutely
it
correct.
is. It's
And
massive.
it is. It's one of the best things about the superior rule set. And that's why we call it the superior rule set. But just from now on, to get back to what we were talking about with Shingo's interview with Jay Krish on Focus Fights, is that until for the legalization effort in America, we need to call it grounded kicks. So until it gets legalized, after it gets legalized, then we can go back to saying soccer kicks. But until then, please, everybody that's listening, just call them soccer kicks. I mean, oh my God, I can't believe I just messed
Yeah,
that up.
grounded kicks is fine. There's nothing wrong
Yeah,
with
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. Please call them grounded kicks. I cannot believe I just messed that up. And I said
It is. It's a
another.
grounded kick. One guy's grounded, the other's kicking. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yes, and that does not that when people think of it, they think of grounded. They don't think of a soccer, free kick, right? And that was the reasoning why from Shingo on the interview with Jay Krish on Focus Fights Audio of why he was asking for it to be called grounded kicks instead of soccer kicks. So let's do that from now on because it helps with the visualization of what they are, and because it's not because that never happens with the free kick style soccer kick. That never happens in the middle of the action of the fights. So that's just a huge point. It was one of my favorite parts about the interview with Jay Krish and Shingo-san. That was awesome. Everybody, make sure you go watch that interview because there's so much information that was dropped in that interview with Jay Krish and Shingo-san. There was Grand Prix are going to be continuing. They're going to still do just because we haven't had Grand Prix for the past couple of years doesn't mean they're going to have given up on Grand Prix. They said that's still going to be a staple of that's like of the Epic Rizin Fighting Federation Japanese mixed martial arts. So that was music to my ears. And that whole segment about talking about how there's an active effort right now to get the Epic superior rule set of the Epic Rizin legalized in America, and for us to, if we could call it grounded kicks instead, so that's what we're going to do. And also he's talking about the international, besides Jay Krish was saying about doing events in America. He was talking about other international events as well. And just last night for their presser for 47, they were talking about how the Uzbekistan from Drew's interview with Sakaki Barasan, the CEO of Rizin, he had name dropped Uzbekistan as one of the possible locations for an international event. And at the presser last night for Rizin 47, it was revealed that Uzbekistan, the prime minister or president, was in contact with Sakaki Barasan, telling him to bring Rizin there. So that's looking like that might be the next location for the next international event at Rizin. And that could possibly be one of the 5 announcements during 47's intermission. Just super exciting times right now. I just can't wait to see what's going to happen.
I think you guys have all done a great job on this. I know we're kind of running a little long. We're like almost at 2 hours, but I don't want to take up all your guys' night. I'm trying to be polite here, but it's up to you guys if you guys want to keep rolling. But I know it's a long time to go.
We just basically want to know. I mean, obviously, we talk about this a lot, but after hearing all of what we have to say, what do you have to say about all this news since it's your show after?
Yeah, but I mean, I appreciate it's not my show, it's you guys. I just kind of host it, but really it's the guys that I bring on. And I appreciate you guys' insight because it's important to you guys are really active in covering Japan MMA. I was heavy into it when I lived there, obviously, but you guys are still like in there, which isn't easy to do when you're not living there. And it's impressive and to have your insight and have you guys come on here, I appreciate your time. As far as me, I think I look at it from a nostalgia point of view. How do we get back to where we were? That's always in my head. How do we get back to where we were, in 2002, 2003, 4, 5? How do we get back there? So I like that, you're going to have a new injection, a new source of foreign competitors, Americans and whatnot, who can come in and now they can compete against some of the Japanese. And that's really what made Pride special. It wasn't Japanese against Japanese. When I saw that on Rizin, I was like, damn, this is not what made Pride great. It was, the cross matches between different people from different locations. And, you know, when it got to its apex, people didn't care if, I mean, yeah, the main events were usually involve Sakuraba or Yoshida or somebody like that, but the fans loved all the other fights, you know, whether a Japanese guy was in the fight or not. So for me, I'm always thinking like, how do we get back to that? And to see them rising kind of, you know, dipping into some other waters, you know, testing some other things. It's an interesting time, like you guys said. I think it, and I'm always hoping that, you know, Rizin, or I would assume it would be Rizin if there's going to be anyone who does it, can kind of level up, because the UFC is just such a monster right now. And, you know, I'd like to see Rizin kind of, those were great times when Pride and UFC were battling for certain free agents. And, you know, like when Bustamante left the UFC when he was champion, went to Pride, you know, things like that. So yeah, that's ultimately what I want to see.
Yeah, and remember, Todd, also, we just had to go deal with a pandemic. That's why it was a lot of Japanese versus Japanese
Right.
fights. And we're finally getting out of that. And like we were saying earlier, Rizin 47 this Saturday has the most international fighters since the pandemic. And before the pandemic, remember, there was a bunch of international fighters in there. I mean, Fedor Emelianenko fought in the Epic Rizin before. So, I mean, there's just, and like you were saying, though, you're absolutely correct, Todd. It was that's how Sakuraba, in my opinion, I think he got to superstardom. Remember, was
Right.
beating like guys like Rampage Jackson, right? So that's exactly what
And
it is. It needs
Hoist,
to
I mean,
be.
Hoist was really when they had that hour
Oh yeah,
match,
yeah. No, you're right.
then
You're right.
everyone was like, wow, you know.
Yeah, that was a huge one on 2000 Grand Prix. The Hoist Gracie when he, Sakuraba became the Gracie Killer. But I mean, also the Rampage Jackson win was huge for him as well. So you're absolutely right about them, matching them up with international fighters, and that brings it to the next level. And so I think you're 100% correct on that, Todd. And also with all these collaboration, it's just gonna. I mean, because to bring it back to the original thing you were asking about, which is the Bkfc collaboration, they've got a bunch of guys that is supposed to be not only a co-promotion but a talent sharing co-promotion. So that means to me, that means they're going to bring over guys like I'm almost guarantee Alvarez is going to be one of them. I guess Mike Perry can't be, unfortunately, but guys like Rockhold. I mean, they have some big names in BKFC that would be fantastic to fight under the Epic Rizin. You know what? Hopefully, it's not just bare knuckle that they're doing as well with these crossover bouts. Hopefully, like we were speculating earlier, what if it could? What if they enticed Anderson Silva to come back there and maybe match him against Rockhold? That was a huge match that was supposed to happen in the UFC, right? Imagine that happening in Rizin on the superior rule set with grounded kicks and grounded knees. I mean, that'd be sensational, right?
Yeah.
So it's just the possibilities are just endless. I just love it. It's absolutely awesome.
And also, I want to see guys who, you know, that mentality that I got to get over there. I got to do this in my career. You know, right now, guys are thinking I got to be in the UFC. I want to see that mentality come back, because it was Japan where guys wanted to be. It wasn't the UFC. The UFC was good and all, but Japan was the dream for everybody. And
come to think of
yeah.
it, Todd, you were talking about this before the red light went on, but we were also discussing about how the International Vale Tudo Championships were coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's going to be a one-off or anything like that, but they're coming back with, bare knuckle MMA, headbutts, 30-minute round, 30-minute round. Maybe we could see some guys wanting to go down to Brazil or come up from Brazil from that event just to be a part of, future events for Rise. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, Brazil's a different animal, you know, because I think the fighting in Brazil wasn't necessarily a dream. I think more people were like scared of it, you know. I think more guys are like apprehensive about fighting in Brazil because it just how the crowd, backs their own fighters. Yeah.
Danger,
Yeah.
jungles,
So I think that's a little bit different. Don't get me wrong. I think a lot of guys today would be afraid to fight in these 30 minutes with headbutts and all that stuff because so many of them are fighting the UFC where it's not like that. And even you see them watching bare knuckle from outside looking in, and they're saying, "Yeah, what we do is good and all, but those guys, Jesus, those guys are crazy, you know."
Mom.
Todd,
But
what you're saying about the that was because Pride was selling out 60,000 seat arenas.
Yeah,
Pride was
of course. I was
the
there for
Almighty
many
Pride
of them.
FC, as I
Yeah.
like to call it, was the mecca. That was the original mecca of mixed martial arts, right?
I was
That
at
was
many of them. Yeah.
yeah. So that's and I think Super Rising 3 is gonna because they're expanding the Saitama Super Arena to the stadium mode. There's gonna be about 50,000 people in attendance there, and I think that's what they need to get it back to that level, like you're saying, Todd, is to put on shows where they're filled up with 50,000 plus fans, right, and international fighters and all that. And I think they will get back to that level eventually someday.
And
So
I actually like a little bit of like, how when they had the match, people were seeing the
yes,
pictures on Twitter, people that weren't involved in it, and they were like, "Holy crap!" Like, wow.
yeah, you're
Yeah, you know
talking
what I
about the
mean?
match between Takeru and
Yeah,
Tenshin Nasukawa.
yeah. People saw the audience size, and they were like, "Whoa!" You know, other
yeah,
fighters in the UFC, and they were like, "Damn!"
yes,
They
they
would
were.
have loved to be in that
Yeah, they were
without a doubt.
basically dumbfounded because they thought the Japanese combat sports scene was dead prior to the match. I mean, especially when Rising came around, they thought the Japanese combat sports scene was dead. But as soon as they saw 60,000 asses packed in the seats of the Tokyo Dome for a kickboxing match, mind you, man, their opinion sure changed quick, fast, and in a hurry.
And it'll happen again after if Super Rising sells out 50,000 plus like it's supposed to. They'll see that again. And as a UFC fighter or an up and coming fighter, where are you going to rather fight at the UFC Apex Shed warehouse or in front of 60 plus thousand fans inside Thomas Super Arena in Japan? Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you know what? It is funny because when it comes down to fighting in that warehouse type of setting, which of course a certain professional wrestling event will be held at that same warehouse this weekend in Las Vegas. But when it comes down to that particular setup, you know, it kind of dumbs down the atmosphere of the fight. It doesn't give you that atmosphere of, oh, I'm fighting in front of a whole shit ton of people. I better do everything I can to make this as important as it is. When in all honesty, it feels like you're fighting like a zombie in front of nothing but air and opportunity, so to speak.
Well, I want to give you guys a chance to kind of sign off. Maybe Andrew, I'd like to let you kind of close with your thoughts. You haven't said anything in a while, so I'll kind of let you go first.
What would you anything specific?
No, just whatever you'd like to.
Yeah. Do we have to end it,
Well,
Todd? Can we go on for another hour? Come on.
No, I
well,
mean,
J-Wolf, I'm
I
not
got to
J-Wolf.
get to
We
sleep.
cannot go on for another hour, you insane man. Um,
Come on,
but
Jay.
There'll be more. There'll be more.
there'll be more. Yeah, like you said, there'll be more. Don't you're even on like a thousand shows this week, J-Wolf. You should be tired of talking all this shit by now.
And why don't you go ahead and close us out first, even though that you want. I mean, even though I still wish that you could get me back on to the We Are Rising podcast.
Sorry, Chris, I missed what you said. I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
Basically, what I'm trying to say is, please take the floor first. Even though I wish that you could get me back on to the We Are Rising podcast, I missed being on there.
Okay. Well, listen, I don't know if it can go back to how it used to be. Don't forget right now that well, first off, Rizin is not not the number one promotion. It is breaking down, so they have to beat breaking down if they want to be number one. So
Come on.
Do we have opened that damn Do we have opened that damn Pandora's box already?
The other thing also is, so J Wolf, I've talked to Shingo before, and he says that Ryzen is his own thing. He doesn't like to compare it to Pride, which I kind of get, but I also kind of don't. So I get why you like to say that Ryzen is Pride, Pride is Ryzen, but I get why they want to separate it because they want to kind of have their own identity almost. That makes sense. Um,
Wait,
but
wait, are you telling me
But they
that we
want
can't
it to
say
get
Pride
as
is Rising
big. I
anymore?
have no doubt about that.
well, that's how sorry.
No, I'm saying they want it to get as big as Pride was.
Oh yeah,
I have no
oh
doubt
absolutely,
about
but they
that.
don't want to.
Yeah.
They don't want to be considered Pride 2 or
Yeah.
Pride 2.0. They want their own identity.
Right.
Regardless of what you of how you love a Pride, Jay, Pride had a lot of problems. It did not
Yeah,
end
it did.
well.
It did.
Yeah,
No, it was
so
the #1 promotion. It was bigger than UFC.
but
It beat
that's
the
not the point
snot
I'm
out of
making.
UFC.
It's not the Jay. That's
Yeah,
not the
it's
point.
the
That's not the
stuff
point.
that happened at the end, that I
Yeah.
think they want to get away from. And I think that's what he meant when he was talking to you.
Yes.
We
Well,
don't
So
want to
that's
be
why
do you guys
affiliated
remember
with
the
the
first?
suicide. We don't want to be affiliated with the Yakuza that got pulled us off TV. We're Rising and we don't do any of that.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
the first Ryzen show was like a dude. They had Takata out there banging on the drums.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it was like a and you know Sakakibara-san, whether he likes it or not, he was the CEO of Pride, behind the scenes brass of Pride, and now he's the CEO of the Epic Rising. You got Lenny Hart, the screaming Pride lady, how everybody knows her. I
Yeah.
mean, it's and they got the superior rule set, which is upgraded Pride rules. So I mean, I don't, man, I don't know. So Drew, you're telling me that Shingo-san doesn't want me to say Pride is Rising
No,
anymore?
no. But they like if like it's they want to just be their own thing.
Yeah,
Pride's the
I get it.
past. In fact, actually, they don't even own the IP. Bard, Dream World, whatever that his thing doesn't own Pride anymore. Ryzen's their own thing now, and it's kind of good that they're trying to. And I talked to Shingo about this. He want one thing he did want to do was when he came on as Booker, part of the brass from for Ryzen, was that he wanted to end all this previous stigma that Japanese MMA had about it being fixed fights, being, mismatches, and all that. He wanted to bring a more nuanced, honest approach and show that that's not what we're about.
So,
Whatever Pride used to do, that's them. But
Plus,
Ryzen, we're
They
doing
didn't
our
do
thing.
that though. They didn't do that. That was a Zuffa myth smear
No, J
campaign
Wolf,
against them.
they did mismatches. They would tell fighters
God.
what. Yes, they would, and that's many. Listen, there's at least two confirmed fights that were works in Pride. I
You can
almost
count on one hand the amount of mismatches. I mean, just look at the tape. Okay, the tape
well,
doesn't lie.
Todd, can you back me up on this? Well, there are a lot of mismatches in
what
Pride.
I
I mean,
think
come on.
Shingo, the way I think he could get away with doing this is he could say, look, what we did with Pride, that has its own wing in the museum. It's in the Hall
Yes,
of Fame already.
exactly.
We don't want to take away from this. Now we'll do
Gotcha.
this one.
Oh,
You know,
I'll just say, regardless,
what we did
about
was
topic,
great.
BKFC.
I don't even want to take away from what we did.
Yeah,
It's already entrenched in stone. It's covered in bronze or whatever. Now we're going to do this one over here. We're not going to even, maybe we make it, we don't serve it justice, so we'll just leave it here.
right.
I'll just quickly
That's how I
say,
would frame it if I was him.
yeah, I'll just quickly say about the whole BKFC since that was on our topic. I am looking forward to this. I'm curious to see what Ryzen will do with BKFC type matches going forward. I'm curious to see what BKFC will do with whoever they get from Ryzen. Want to see how they produce their Japan shows. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. The only thing though is that if they can do 5 rounds, which is the BKFC rounds in Ryzen, then there's no excuse why they can't do the 10-minute 5-5 for title fights. And they should go ahead and start doing that as well, since they have no problem doing the 5 rounds for BKFC matches.
Of course. And Andrew, before you, close out and give people how they can give people reasons to contact you, I mean, I'm just asking, is Dream Stage Entertainment no longer the parent company of Rizin anymore?
No, they are, but they don't own the IP. The UFC owns everything that's Pride related. So it's not Rizin has not. It's Rizin is like it like copyright wise even is separated. Whenever they show stuff from Pride, they have to use photos from Sasuma Legal. Yeah, it's like I totally get it. Like I get why what Shingo. I think Todd probably said it best. I made it seem like, oh, Shingo was kind of shitting on Rizin. No, I mean Pride. Excuse me. Oh my God, J-Wolf, you got me confused now. Yeah. So I think Todd said it best. Is that like we're our own brand. This is what we do. This is this is how we approach MMA. We're taking the good stuff from Pride. We're applying that, but the negative stuff that was associated and that was done back then, we're not doing. I think that's also a much more finer way of saying it.
Right, of course, of course. And now that you're done speaking, can you please give the people how they can contact not just you, but also the brass, no, but also the good people that think like us, our little Discord server.
Rizin FF Discord. We are Rizin Pods on Twitter. I write stuff for MMA Sucker as well. Just came out with a preview, a short little preview on Rizin 47 that's published right now. Please read it. If this is published after Rizin 47, just reread it again and give me clicks, please. So that's basically all that there is. And a reason why we are Rizin Pod on YouTube as well.
Oh, yeah. And I second that as well. The We Are Rizin podcast is available to listen to on YouTube, hopefully back on every major podcast platform of choice, even though, of course, the podcast world is just topsy-turvy these days. But, and I'm only saying this now because I want to basically give Jay Wolf the floor just to close us out. But still, you basically check my podcast out, Focus Fights Audio, on every major platform, and Focus Fights Audio Presents is the YouTube. I guess now I can basically separate the two from what it is. I can basically put out separate episodes of the Focus Fights, no, not separate episodes, more like separate interviews out on both video and audio formats. But still, though, point is, Focus Fights Audio, the podcast, is available to listen to on just about every platform there is, including the two major radio apps, TuneIn and iHeart. And as far as the video series goes, please check out the YouTube channel for that. And I will be sure to send Todd the Linktree page so that he can put it out there in the description to describe Focus Fights, in the podcast description when it comes out, hopefully within the next couple of days before this event happens. But still, though, if you want to check out more of what I have in store, I was on Twitter at ChrisGary92, which that also is the handle for my fan account. Of course, I am on Twitter now at JCHRISH Gary, Gary, because my damn two-factor authentication just can't be fixed. Fuck you, Elon Musk. But still, though, point of the matter is, I am on Twitter at JChrishGary. I have a Facebook. I have an Instagram. Just search J Christian Gary all over. I'm pretty sure you'll find me somewhere. And also, like I said, if you haven't checked out the Shingo Kashiwagi interview I did, it is available on both video and audio platforms. The YouTube channel is where you can find the video for Focus Fights. The audio, you can find that through the Focus Fights Audio podcast, which, oh, by the way, I'm basically ducking out the way so you can see this beautiful logo. But still, point of the matter is, if you can do a little Google search, just search Chris Gary, Shingo Kashiwagi. I'm pretty sure you'll find the interview just about everywhere. And now, by the way, please check out the Rizin FF fans Discord server. I'm pretty sure you'll find some like-minded individuals over there. And now, to close us out, Jay Wolf, can you please tell the world about how you can watch Rizin 47 tomorrow?
Absolutely. You can watch Rizin 47 on Rizin.tv. Go to that website. It's only $20. It's for all international audiences, and you get a full replay included with that. So if you can't stay up late on Saturday night into Sunday early morning, you can just watch the replay as soon as you get up. So it's Rizin.tv. It's $20 pay-per-view, and it comes with full replay. And it's so much fun. I can't wait. And Todd, I'm having so much fun. I don't want this to end. I love talking. This is dude.
What time can we see the pay-per-view?
Oh, yeah. It's at 10 p.m. or 10:30 p.m. Pacific time, 1:30 p.m. or 1:30 a.m. Eastern time. And then for international audiences, about 7:30, 8:30 in the morning in the Europe. And then in Japan, obviously, it's at 2 p.m., 2:30. So, and then I guess what time would that be in? I don't know what time it's in Australia and things, but anyways, it's at 10:30 p.m. Pacific.
And it would probably be at 3 because they're an hour ahead of Japan.
Oh, okay. Okay, but the important times that everybody knows is 10:30 p.m. Pacific time, 1:30 a.m. Eastern time, and it's in the early morning for Europe.
Yeah, it would be right around 12:30 a.m. Central Time for myself and Todd Atkins. And by the way, Jay, how can the folks contact you?
Well, I mean, I'm in the Rizin Discord. Absolutely love it. I love that better than Twitter because it's not public, and there's, like Jay Chris is saying, there's many like-minded fans. We talk about Rizin. We talk about it all. We don't just talk about Rizin. We talk about everything because we watch it all. Watch UFC, kickboxing. I mean, everything. We talk it all. It's awesome. And you can follow me on Twitter at JAYYOLF1. It's misspelled on purpose. Like I was saying in the intro, that's how it was way back in 06, because a million other J Wolves, easy to search. As long as you're a real person, not a bot, I'll follow you right back. And also on the fantastic podcast that we do. Jay Krish, you're talking about Focus Fights. We did a sensational Focus Fights for a Rizin 47 preview. That was awesome. And also with Drew. Drew did a fantastic one with Mike on Rizin 47 on the We Are Rizin podcast. That was awesome as well.
What about you to the Junk and Random Acoustic Thoughts?
Yes, thank you. Team to the Junk, I did one with him. The Bellator guru guy. Was a Bellator super fan. I have to call him Bellator guru because he knew everything about Bellator. But I convinced him to do a little mini preview of Rizin 47 since there were so many Bellator collaboration fights on there, right? So, and that's a quicker preview if you guys like and don't like these long form ones. That was only a 20-minute preview. That's Team to the Junk and his YouTube channel, Random Acoustic Thoughts. It was the remarkably short Rizin 47 preview. Then another one I did with Aisha from the City Life Project. Fantastic platform. Just, it was so much fun doing that podcast. And that's at the City Life Project on YouTube, Rizin 47 preview. It was freaking awesome. Just had so much fun. And this one right here, Todd, this was freaking awesome, man. I love this subject of the collaboration, the co-promotion of Bkfc. I mean, I go on talking for another hour. I mean, I'm mad we have to end it so early. I'm glad you let me talk about the Shingo song where he's asking about, instead of calling it soccer kicks, to call it grounded strikes, grounded kicks, grounded knees for now on, to help the superior rule set get legalized in America. So I've been trying to, shout that to the heavens for now on so we can help that effort get it legalized. Because, I mean, that'd be the dream, having a meetup with all you guys here in America for a Rizin event. How awesome would that be? Yeah. And, it was talking to Aisha about that on the City Life Project podcast. It's just so fun. So, I mean, man, it was just awesome. Yeah, so all those places you can check me out. Check out the podcasts and the We Are Rizin podcast. And his article, the MMA Sucker article that Drew wrote. It was fantastic. I read it already, Drew. It was short. It was short and sweet, and it was awesome. So everybody check that out. And Jay Chris, like we're saying, with that Shingo Kasawagi interview on Focus Fight, I think, to me, that was the best one he did to date. It was awesome. So check that out. And the Focus Fights 47 preview with myself. And Todd, this is a lot of fun, man. I mean, I can't wait to come back, and we're going to be doing a bunch of stuff for Rizin Super Rizin 3. The summer blockbuster, that's July 28th. So check that out as well. We'll be doing all kinds of podcasts, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's just a lot of fun. We love it. It's awesome. So Rizin
Yeah.
47 this Saturday, and dude, it's on. Thanks, guys. You know what, Drew? I'm sorry, Shingo-san, but I'm still. It's pride never die for life, and it's gonna be pride in us Rizin as well until they get back to Pride 2.0 status. And of course, we're talking about the Almighty Pride Fighting Championships when we say that. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's how I think I'm gonna get rid of that closing. So.
But the matter is, Todd, unlike this Blair the Flair Cobbs Adrian Broner fight that just wrapped up, and I'm sorry, my
Hey,
damn
Rod Tang's getting
boy,
ready to fight right now. You guys might want to
yeah,
check that out. He's always
of
must see
course,
TV.
follow that damned one
I
championship
love
all
watching Rod Tang fight, though. I love watching
still
this guy compete.
there is. Unlike certain fights and certain promotions, at least we actually care about and put effort into the stuff that we back. And, it's going to be fun to see what Rizin does, not just this weekend, but pretty much for the next 6 months. And hell, while we're at it, maybe for years to come. I can just only hope to actually get a chance to meet some of y'all when and if these events do make it available for us to, come out to them. So, yeah, I enjoyed my time. Andrew enjoyed his. Jay definitely enjoyed his. Todd, thank you for being an amazing host. This is your show. You get to close it out.
No, this is everybody else's show, but everybody who watches the episodes and stuff, I always appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to these guys' content that they've been sharing with you. And if you feel free to comment, I'll respond. I'm sure some of these guys would too. And always appreciate the support. And until next time, take care.